I will show you every cool hidden detail of giant monster from Monster Hunter Wilds. The kind of stuff you can only know if you were a 3D artist or game modder. Here we go.
Before continuing with the comparison, please give me 90 seconds to talk about AweSun, an all-in-one tool to remotely control your PC with your phone. They're sponsoring me, but to be honest, I already checked out AweSun website, software, and everything, and it's truly fascinating. The first thing that immediately stood out to me is how effortlessly you can record mobile phone gameplay. Maybe you don't know, but my absolute favorite monster is Godzilla, and there's a really great mobile game featuring him. I've always wanted to record and keep my gameplay, but the whole process, finding good phone recording software, connecting to a PC, storing the files, and then editing, is such a hassle and honestly annoying. But with AweSun, I can mirror my phone's display to my PC and record the screen directly. I've checked the resolution and FPS, and it's excellent. Now I can easily edit my gameplay on Premiere Pro right on my PC. Another feature I love is that you can play your PC games on your phone. Now, I do spend most of my time on my PC, but sometimes when I go out for a meal, I can't help but always wonder, did my character die? Are they in the right location? Is auto mode running smoothly? With AweSun, you can just pull out your phone, connect to your PC, and bam, you're back in the game. You can check on your character, manage your inventory, or even start a new hunt, all from your phone. I've been using the game package myself, and it's incredible. You can customize controls, adjust mouse sensitivity, and even use a virtual WASD pad for movement. It's smooth, no lag, no stuttering, just flawless gameplay. It's like you have your computer screen on your phone. And get this, they even have a smart plug so you can remotely turn your PC on or off. Very convenient, right? Getting started is simple. AweSun is completely free to use on Windows, iOS, and Android. Just click the first link in the description to sign up, download AweSun on your PC, and link your device. Then download the app on your phone, log in, select your device, and you're all set. Trust me, you've got to try it. Okay, now, let's get back to the Monster Hunter comparison.
First up is Chatacabra, the very first monster you'll kill in Monster Hunter Wilds. The most eye-catching thing about this frog is that long, spiky tongue. Really, take a look. The whole tip is covered in spikes, sharp and pointy. Anything it licks must be agony. And check out its lower jaw. All spiky and rugged, it actually reminds me of Devil Joe, with that same tough-looking jaw. Pretty cool, huh? Now, even though it looks like a frog at first glance, the skin texture is really something else. It's all bumpy and sharp and thorny, making it look more like one of those awesome-looking lizards that lived in the desert. The eyes are quite similar, but very different from a regular frog. They're more lizard-like, long, thin pupils with narrow vision. You usually see eyes like that on predators, like snakes. And get this desert animal's saliva is a weapon in itself. It licks its hands so minerals, rocks, and dirt stick to them, making its hits way harder and with a lot more impact. A very well-deserved first monster. What do you think? The next one is Ajarakan. This monkey-like creature is seriously tall, like 3 times the height of a normal person like Spider-Man. Just picture that massive figure looming over you. Its presence impossible to ignore. Now, if you take a closer look at its body proportions, there's something really intriguing going on. Its legs are very small, roughly 1/3 the size of its arms. This unusual ratio gives it a distinctive and quite funny silhouette. Its eyes are another standout feature. They glow with an intense fiery red, like actual volcanic lava bubbling away, which gives it a gaze that's both fierce and captivating. Then there's the tongue, a really weird and eye-catching detail. It's bright blue. Yup, just blue. There's no extra explanation for it, but that pop of color is definitely something you don't see every day in the Monster Kingdom. But the funniest detail, unlike most gnarly monster hands, Ajarakan's fingers are surprisingly close to human fingers. And get this, its fingernails are the cleanest I've ever seen on any monster out there. Seriously, how they keep them so tidy in the wilderness is beyond my understanding. Next is Arkveld, the white chain dragon, the flagship monster. Its face is incredibly cool and detailed, resembling that of a dinosaur wearing a Viking helmet made by stone. The most impressive feature of this dragon, to me, is its eyes. They have a striking, dreamy blue color and a very beautiful eye texture that no way you can see it in the game. Its body is covered in rocky armored plates resembling natural stone armor, much like the fish-scale steel armor that knights typically wear. Now, about those two chain-like things. Apparently, if you remove the rocky covering, you see they're actually flexible meat with a texture that looks like muscle or tension meat chains. Super weird. And the biggest mystery, this heavy-as-shit dragon doesn't have wings! Removing fur proves that there is no membrane between its arms. Nope, just fur. It's all fur. How does this giant fly with just fluffy fur? It just completely ignores how things like Gore Magala or Ray Dow or Rathalos or any real-life creature even manage to stay in the air. The fourth one is Balahara. Okay, now look inside this worm's mouth and seriously ask, how on earth did the 3D designers come up with this? It has a jaw that splits into 3 parts, and each one is just packed absolutely with teeth that look like tiny saw blades. You think a regular bite hurts? You will be shredded to pieces if you go into this hell mouth. And the eyes. Where are the eyes? They're not on the outside like a normal animal. When Balahara opens up, you can see multiple blue dots inside its mouth. Yeah, they are all internal eyes. What even is this creature? The inside of its mouth has this glowing green liquid that looks utterly disgusting. It's corrosive stomach acid full of glowing bacteria, so getting bitten lightly poisons you too. This is most likely the most painful bite in the entire Monster Hunter universe. Just imagine being bitten down and torn apart inside that. And don't forget they hunt in pack, so your body will never in one piece. How about the scales all over its body? They're all twisted in a spiral pattern. Yeah, probably helps it burrow, obviously. But here's a wild fact. Its shark-like gills on the sides aren't lined up symmetrically. They're staggered, matching that twisted spiral pattern. It literally looks like someone physically grabbed this worm and just twisted it by hand. If I had to pick the most brutal monster in Wilds, this twisted worm gets my vote easily. Super nightmarish creature. Doshaguma is wild, man. First off, look at its face. No fur, just wrinkled dark red skin, kinda reminds you of a droopy-faced dog. And the teeth! The bottom set is manageable, just 2 long canines sticking out. But the upper ones? They are a disaster, crooked, sticking in and out at all sorts of angles. Makes me wonder how it even manages to close its mouth properly. Doshaguma got the super thick fur, almost like a lion's mane. But get this, if you could shave it all off, it'd look just like one of those hairless dogs. Pretty good look, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. Don't expect to lock eyes with it. This one has tiny, tiny eyes. Even if you get super close, they just look like little dim spots on its face, barely noticeable. It's kind of unsettling because most monsters have big, beautiful, and very expressive eyes, but Doshaguma? Nope. Next up is Gravios. This monster is a real feast for the eyes, isn't it? This giant's bony carapace is just the best of all the returning monsters they've redesigned for Wilds. Look at this hollow rock armor. So much detail, so much texture. It's actually gorgeous. Moreover, this one is huge, I tell ya. Even the mid-sized ones are like 5 times the height of a normal bloke like Spider-Man. Makes you feel pretty small, doesn't it? Seriously, I absolutely hate fighting this beast, but I gotta admit, its design is cool as hell. I could look at it for hours. Its head is very small compared to that giant body, and its face is quite funny. I love it! And don't forget that tail. The redesign in Wilds makes the tails exceptionally big and a dangerous, bulky weapon. This giant has many holes all over its body. I've been wondering about all these holes for a long time. Could they be releasing that nasty toxic gas, similar to the belly holes, when fighting the bigger or flying monsters? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? So now, we're looking at the Hirabami. You know, those massive floating centipede monsters that are super annoying when you're trying to hunt them. First off, can we just talk about its color? The Hirabami has this gorgeous pinkish skin. Honestly, it's kinda cute. But when fighting these in a snowy area, I never notice its beauty. Next up, the most interesting part, check out its lower jaw. It splits right down the middle, unhinging into two separate parts like some kind of organic trap. And inside, dude, the teeth. There are so many teeth crammed in there. Combine that with the fact these things usually hunt in packs. Imagine you aren't a superhuman hunter? That must be incredibly distressing if you encounter them. Speaking of hidden details, check out its body. If you manage to get a good look from an angle above it, you can actually see the structure of its main spine right underneath the skin. They really modeled that. The level of detail in Wilds is just insane, man. This flying worm also has many giant scissor-like appendages back there. They're super long, razor-sharp blades sticking out, giving it insane reach. No wonder it uses its tail attacks so often. Anyone who isn't Hunter would probably get sliced to ribbons between those claws. How about its wing arms and legs? They've got these wicked sickle-shaped talons. Even though these are safer compared to their terrifying mouth and tail, I gotta highlight how this creature is built entirely for attack. Front, back, sides. This monster has weapons covering every angle. And one more time, they hunt in groups. Alright, next up is personally the best looking monster, the ice giant, Dahaad. Usually this thing is totally covered in ice, but I stripped all that ice away. Dahaad is a absolutely stunning metallic beast. It is covered head to tail in these specialized coppery plates and ridges. It looks like some kind of giant ancient armored walking weapon. So incredibly cool. And check out this mouth when it opens wide! Dahaad's bottom jaw can split right down into 4 parts. Seems like a crazy feature, right? But for Dahaad, it's totally useful, helping it blast out those insanely powerful freezing beams with more coverage. Now look at its face. Apparently, the ice dragon has small blue eyes hidden under. The whole thing makes it look like it's wearing this sick, built-in helmet. Super intimidating. How about its body? Those jagged metallic spikes actually merge together and form this protective hood-like armor that covers its head, runs down its body, over the hips and even onto the tail. Imagine another large monster trying to bite this thing. Bam! A mouthful of sharp metal. It makes attacking Dahaad extremely difficult even for bigger monsters. Oh, and speaking of size, get this cool fact. Dahaad is currently the largest leviathan in the entire mainline Monster Hunter series. It measures a whopping 45.6 meters long. To put that in perspective, it's slightly longer than the massive elder dragon Xeno'jiiva, which was only 45 meters! So, yeah, this armored ice beast is absolutely the biggest leviathan out there. Finally, if you successfully strip away all of its metal, you can see this monster is remarkably similar to a meat-eating Brachiosaurus. You can also clearly see its ribcage, protruding like it doesn't have any meat under it. What a pitiful creature. It must be malnourished since it used every bit of its energy to fire deadly beams everywhere.
Three, two, one.